Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 63rd episode of the Triboro Podcast. I am your host, Justin Alonso, a.k.a. on Suicide Watch, Justin Alonso, joined by Nicholas O'Brien. How are we doing?
I'm doing good.
I am not.
Yeah.
So, if you guys are living under a rock and didn't see, the Yankees got eliminated from the playoffs last night. They lost in the World Series to the Dodgers in the quite possibly the most infuriating game of all time. And to top it all off, that is the second postseason game in a row I've gone to where I saw another team celebrate on our goddamn field. I saw the Astros sweep us in Game 4 of the 2022 ALCS. I am going to kill myself. Doodah.
I don't think you're allowed to go to any more playoff games.
No, it's just elimination games, because I went to 2 games before that, and they won both of those handedly.
If it's an elimination game, you can't go
It's
anymore.
just so... I'll get into Game 5, don't you worry, because I have a lot that I have to say about that. There's 3 particular people that I'm looking at right now when I say that.
Okay.
Maybe a little more. But Game 1, Clark Schmidt sucked.
Game 3, actually.
Game 3, whatever. Game 1 of the homestand.
Game 1 at home.
He went 2 2/3 innings, 3 runs, just gave up a tater to Freddie Freeman. Just shocker. Just, you suck. Just why? Yeah, it was 4-0 all the way until the 9th inning with 2 outs and 2 strikes. Alex Verdugo hits a 2-run home run to make it a 4-2 game. I don't care. Like, I know that they could have come back. They could have done that. But this pissed me off so much, him pimping that home run. Because I don't care that... Because, yeah, granted, if you tie the game, pimp the fuck out of that, for all I care. But you're most likely not coming back. You've done absolutely nothing this postseason except for 1 game. And you're pimping that, acting like you just won the World Series. And not even that. That ball barely got out. So you're going to do that when, if that ball doesn't get out and you only get to first or you get thrown out because of that, like, get ready to learn Guantanamo Bay, buddy. Like, that's just, I know it's not going to be really remembered, especially because he should not be on this goddamn team next year, Alex Verdugo, but that pissed me off so much in the moment. Yeah. I was there, like, we were watching that together. Yeah. I was just so pissed about that. Like, and have you ever heard me complain about guys pimping home runs?
No.
The only times when it doesn't get out.
Yeah.
If it's close, if it's even somewhat close, you should not pimp a home run, especially when you've been horrible. It's always the motherfuckers that are horrible that pimp home runs that are not home runs.
Josh
Donaldson. Like, dude.
Yeah, that was that was a frustrating game, and I just...
Walker Buehler went 5 innings, shut you down.
Yeah, 5 innings, 2 hits. 2 walks, so 4 base runners in 5 innings.
And I'm pretty sure you had Buehler at like 20-ish, 25 pitches in the first inning.
Right.
And then they did the thing that they did against Yamamoto and just let him settle down. Just stopped working counts.
Yeah.
Which is just a whole thing the entirety of the series. I feel like they had their best at-bats in the first inning. You could say top of the order.
Right.
Like, that's probably the counter argument that could be made. It's top of the order, so of course it's going to be the best at-bats. But what about the rest of the goddamn game?
Yeah.
You guys still got more at-bats, but overall, the inconsistencies of the at-bats this entire series were just infuriating.
Absolutely.
You go to Game 4, they actually decided to win this game. I was shocked they won this game. Because you get down early. You think Freddie Freeman hits a home run in the first inning, which...
Again.
Do you say that's a bad pitch?
Was this the one he pulled?
Heel. It was the heel pitch, yeah. It's like...
The location, no, but I didn't think it was a bad pitch live.
Yeah.
But I looked back on it, and it just kind of hung.
But it's also outside.
Right.
And we've been calling for them to pitch outside to Freeman the entire time, and he just pulled it.
Yeah.
So it's like...
It's not a terrible pitch. I think if he executes it, it's a better pitch. It's just, you watch the replay, you can kind of see it, like, be placed on a tee and just slowly fall.
Well, apparently it was a cutter. That's what I've seen. Some people say it's a cutter, some say it's a slider.
Yeah.
What was the velo?
85.5.
Oh, so slider, never mind.
Yeah.
But
yeah, MLB has it listed as a slider.
Okay. But that was just, I'm not even going to blame him for that necessarily. Like,
I think.
It's not like you gave him a pitch to hit. You know what I mean? Like, that's not... Maybe he gets a single off that, but realistically, Freddie Freeman, with a hobbled ankle, should not have been able to pull that ball, especially when he's not been hitting well against outside pitches his entire series, in the entire postseason.
And that's a home run in only 4 other ballparks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that happened. Then later on in the game, they made a 2-run shot. Well, I should talk about the fan thing.
Yeah, I guess.
So what happened was Glaber hit a ball down the line. 2 fans were in the stands. Mookie Betts, he goes to make a play. He catches the ball. Miraculous catch. Great catch. And a fan literally pries open his glove and rips it out.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that whole debacle?
Idiots.
Yeah.
Dumbos. I'm shocked they weren't banned immediately. They were banned from Game 5 eventually.
There's a reason why, I think, but
I don't understand the fact why the media was kind of not putting these guys on a pedestal.
They were getting glorified.
But
there were stories being written and published about them before the game even
That's
ended.
what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why at ESPN you need to write an entire article on this fucking idiot who...
It was either Kirshner or Cuddy that posted one in The Athletic while the game was still happening.
Yeah, and I just don't get it. And I'm not trying to be over dramatic, but like there was one guy opening the glove. There's another guy holding Mookie by the wrist.
Yeah.
Like, you can hurt the guy. Like, you know.
And it's not even like...
Mookie is not a tall person.
I was just about to say that.
So he was kind of dangling there. So you could easily just like grab his wrist, twist the wrong way, gravity, and you like dislocate something. Or like, you know. So it's just... And also, the other thing too is like, keep your hands to yourself. I mean, I can't believe I need to say that. Like, I don't know. It's just it was stupid. A bunch of idiots, and I hate the fact that they were kind of, like you said, glorified at the end of it.
It's a different thing if the ball is hit to the stands and they try making a play on the ball, but they're making a play on Mookie.
Yeah,
like that's 2 completely different things. And just, did you see that Gronk was friends with them in college?
Yes.
And just the reason why, so they had tickets for Game 5. Yeah. They got refunded the tickets for Game 5. I think the reason why they didn't get banned is because they're season ticket holders.
It shouldn't matter, in my opinion.
I agree, but I just think that's straight up just the reason why. That they're season ticket holders.
Money.
And that's, money. And granted, someone else would, like, snatch those up.
Yeah.
But I truly believe it's just because
they gave the tickets away to a pediatric cancer patient, so that was pretty nice of the Yankees. So at least
there was a story about that.
Oh, really?
Where, so I don't know the exact details, but they did something for a pediatric cancer ward earlier in the year, and for whatever reason, I don't remember what it was, but like that kid missed part of it, and that was the kid that they gave the tickets to.
That's
the
pretty
one
cool.
that was like a part of like a 30-kid thing.
That's pretty
and
cool.
he missed it, so they chose him for that reason. But
that's cool, at least.
Yeah, I don't know the entire story.
Yeah.
I know someone wrote something. One of a writer somewhere wrote something on that. But no. So then you go. I forget what inning. I want to say like the 4th inning. Anthony Volpe gets on base. Then he gets second base. Austin Wells hits a double that gets off the wall barely. That I feel like, I don't know the numbers. How many home runs is that ballpark in? Because I know Yankees Center, like that kind of area is like pretty deep. I think it may be gone in LA.
It is gone in 17 of 30 ballparks.
I think it's gone in LA.
It would be a home run at Dodger Stadium.
So it was just kind of like a weird overall play, and Volpe tagged up on it instead of just going kind of like halfway. Then
at least.
I go back and forth on it because I think there was no outs. It was either 1 or no outs. Whatever. Regardless, there weren't 2 outs.
There's 1.
There was 1 out, yeah. And I don't know. I just go back and forth on it because probably should have gone halfway, but at the same time, with how much they were struggling to score runs, I could have seen something where like Verdugo just bunts or something,
Right.
trying to get a kind of like suicide squeeze play, give Volpe a score at home. So I don't really hate it.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing was Volpe's arguably your fastest guy on the roster. He's scoring on a single.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I know Verdugo's up afterwards, but you have to be halfway at least. That's my whole
fair.
thing.
No, that's definitely fair.
Yeah, you got to be halfway. You're one of, if not the fastest guy on this roster. So who cares if you're at second or third? You're going to score on a single. So that's my whole thing. But it didn't come back to bite them.
I was going to say he makes up for it.
Yes.
So later in the game, he has to be base loaded. 2 outs. Anthony Volpe comes to the plate. He has a good at-bat and then absolutely drills a grand slam off Daniel Hudson, I believe it was.
Correct.
And, oh my God. Like, that just, there's so many things that could be said about, I don't think it would have mattered more to anyone other than Anthony Volpe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, after the game, he was asked a question on what was his opinion, or like, how do you feel about fans chanting Volpe in the 9th inning when they were already up by so much? He said it was the best baseball moment he's ever had. They said above the grand slam. He said, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So he literally hit a grand slam to put them ahead in the postseason. But then you go to see that, where them just chanting his name and all that. And there was a story, I believe it was by Chris Kirshner, that in The Athletic, that Anthony Volpe's great-grandpa was like he came over from Italy and he sold fruit, and he ended up going to World War II and started fighting. When he came back, his son, so Anthony Volpe's grandpa, was only 4 years old. To make up for lost time, they sat together and listened to Yankee games on the radio. And now his grandpa gets to see him play Yankee Stadium and now almost be ingrained in postseason lore.
I would say so. I would say people watching that game are going to think back, be like, when Anthony Volpe hit that grand slam. I mean, look, I understand the ending kind of soured things, but at that moment in time, that was the biggest hit of this postseason for the Yankees. I mean, not the biggest hit because of Soto, but it's definitely up there.
Goes back and forth.
Yeah,
just because I feel
definitely.
like with the Yankees, especially when, like, DJ LeMahieu's home run in 2019 was legitimately one of the biggest home runs of the last, 20 years for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And I feel like that rarely gets talked about.
That's fair.
So it's just one of those things of, if you lose the series, no one cares.
Yeah.
Like, people are not going to realize and remember how absurdly clutch that Aaron Judge home run off of Manuel Clase was. Granted,
Right.
CS compared to World Series.
Yeah.
But no one's going to remember Aaron Judge, all the stuff about him struggling, him hitting a home run in the first inning in Game 2 or Game 5.
Right.
So it's the thing of, that legitimately could have been a thing that if he does well in the postseason the rest of his career, that'll definitely be cemented and kind of just the foundation for it. Because I think there's a very, very strong argument that he was their 3rd best hitter this postseason. Glaber just tailed off in the World Series. He did not do well in the World Series. So, yeah. But then he did that. Later, Austin Wells ended up hitting a home run. Glaber hit a home run. I think it was 11-4 was the final score. But Game 5. Game fucking 5.
I'm gonna sit this one out for the start. You got this.
Okay. I'm there. I'm sitting in the 400s. I'm chilling. The nervous, just anxiety and all of that, you could feel it. It's palpable in the building. Then Garrett Cole comes up. He ends up getting everyone out, inning over, going into the bottom of the first. Gleyber Torres ends up fighting, ends up getting on base. Then Juan Soto flies out. Aaron Judge comes up to the plate. The entire stadium gets off of their feet, or gets off their ass, gets on their feet, chanting MVP, standing like literally one of the loudest moments I've ever been in a stadium. Very first pitch, cranks one the other way for a home run. When I say the stadium was shaking, it was fucking shaking. That is one of the coolest fan experiences I've ever had at a goddamn baseball game. It was awesome. Stan gets out somehow, I forgot how, and then up comes Jazz. Jazz, he ends up hitting one out, too. Stadium going crazy. Absolutely insane. They end up manufacturing a run for another run. Stan ends up hitting another home run because, fucking course, he set the record for most home runs in a postseason for a Yankee. And then comes the 5th inning. I don't remember who the batters were, but I remember how it happened. The first guy walked. You know what? Or no, he got a hit. That was the first hit of the game. 5th inning, Garrett Cole absolutely dealing. You know, no, that's going to happen. The odds of throwing a no-hitter are so low. Then the next guy lines out to Aaron Judge in center field. You look at it, be like, okay, he's got a beat on the ball. He's got it pretty easy. He's doing it. I almost look away to like glance at my mom. I'm starting to, and then I see the ball slip out of his glove. Okay, first and second, no outs. Still got a 5-run lead. We got it. Garrett Cole's on the bump. Cole's been so efficient. He's been just more than you could ask for so far. Then a ball is hit to Volpe. Volpe gets it, and he goes to get the lead runner. He had the lead runner beat by a good bit. Then Jazz does not catch the ball. Bases loaded, no outs. Then Garrett Cole, being Garrett goddamn Cole, strikes out the next 2 batters. The stadium is back. We're pumped. We're going electric. Mookie Betts is up to the plate. Mookie Betts hits an infield ball to Anthony Rizzo. It kind of pulls Rizzo a little bit more towards second base side, a little bit back in the infield dirt. Garrett Cole does not cover. Run scores. 2 outs. 5-1 lead still. Then everything falls apart by single, double. When all is said and done, after the inning, it is a 5-5 game. What are we doing? What on God's fucking green earth are we doing? I don't even know who's most at blame for that. I'll be like, I don't. Because the Judge play, that's bad. But at that point, it's first and second. But again, routine play. You have to make that. The Jazz play wasn't the easiest play. And you could even get a little mad at Volpe for not just going to first. But I didn't watch a replay, but in live kind of action, I don't think he had to play at first. I don't think he did. I could be wrong. Someone could do that. But I think he didn't have a play at first. Then the Garrett Cole play, you could say what you want about Rizzo. Say what you want about, like, he should have ran more, he should have done this. As a pitcher, there is no excuse for you not to automatically go to cover the bag. I don't know how you feel about that, but as a pitcher, you have to cover the bag until the first baseman holds up his glove or his hand telling you not to. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. You got to bust your ass and just, like you said, sprint over until someone says not to. You know, I think it was just a very lackadaisical play.
And you would have gotten out of the inning with no runs.
No runs, yeah. Yeah, it's very hard to put into words that entire inning. And to your point, there I don't think there is one person to blame. This was
a meltdown.
Entire team collapse in that inning alone.
And it's not even like it was the main perpetrators.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's
people are going to knock
on. Expect to make the plays.
People are going to knock on Glaber. People are going to knock on Soto. They're going to knock on Verdugo. They're going to knock on those guys for bad defensive plays. No, it was Aaron Judge, your captain, your center fielder, Anthony Volpe, who's in the running for the Platinum Glove, Jazz Chisholm, who, say what you want, you got to at least ground a goddamn baseball, and then Garrett Cole, you've pitched. He's been in the league since what? 2014.
Yeah.
2015. Anthony Rizzo, he's won a World Series in 2016. He's been in the league forever. He's like 35. Those are veterans that aren't making plays. And that's obviously not Volpe, but I just don't. What can you say? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't put into words this inning. It was the entire team. Watching that, my jaw was just on the floor. Like, I couldn't get any words out. I don't understand how an entire team can just completely forget how to play defense. The only play I'll maybe let slide is the Volpe one, because it's a tough play. You know?
It was close. Volpe had him beat, but it was close.
Yeah, it was a tough throw to Volpe because it led Jazz into the runner. Jazz should have at least stopped it, gave him a better chance to get the play. His momentum was going to third, so to your point, I don't think he had to play towards first. That's the only one I'll kind of let slide, but everything else, man, I mean,
routine plays, routine plays, and that's.
I think Cole not covering is more frustrating or more disappointing than Judge's missed fly ball with line drive. Really, that was the most frustrating part, because especially as a pitcher, after you just struck out 2 guys with the bases loaded, you know you have a chance to get out unscathed no matter what happened behind you, and you are one of the sole reasons that you still have to keep pitching that inning. It's
because it's a thing of too. Garrett Cole is maybe one of the last pitchers I would expect to do something like that.
Right.
The veteran, the competitor, the fiery guy, the guy that does every little thing right. He is the last guy you would expect to do something like that.
Absolutely.
And just.
It's embarrassing. That's really all you can say.
It's a joke.
This was a very Mets inning from the Yankees.
I was literally thinking of Diaz.
Yeah, you expect, I hate to say it, but you do expect something like this to happen to the Mets. You know, everyone forgets how to play. Everyone doesn't cover their base. You know, botched fly ball, botched throw, someone doesn't cover. This shouldn't be happening to the Yankees.
No.
You know, it's the small things, and I think you can look back on this entire series and point out a play here, a play there that wasn't made. It's the small things that the Dodgers did and the Yankees didn't that, at the end of the day, added up and cost them this series.
You can look at multiple things throughout every single game. And going just a little bit further, I forget how the Yankees end up taking the lead back. Then at the bottom of the 8th inning, so Garrett Cole, being the goddamn ace that he is, he ended up getting another inning and 2/3. So he ended up going 6 2/3 innings. A guy came on, Clay Holmes, then came up, and he ended up getting out of it.
Yeah. Real quick, would you have kept Cole?
I would have, just because he was cooking.
Yeah.
And I've said this a million times. You live or die by your guy. You live or die by your ace.
Yeah, because I was talking to Joe before I came down here, and even yesterday he mentioned it doesn't matter that he's at I think he ended 107 pitches, whatever. There is a 99% chance he is not pitching the rest of the series. So, for lack of a better term, you let him pitch until his arm falls off.
Yes. And even then, another 5 pitches isn't going to make his arm fall off.
Right. But I didn't hate taking him out, because the only thing, he walked Freeman. A lot of the pitchers weren't that competitive. And even the Ohtani and Betts groundouts were balls outside of the zone that they swung at. So I think he was kind of hitting a wall there. But I would have completely understood keeping him in, too. But I don't hate the move taking him out.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to touch on that real quick.
Yeah. But then Clay gets out of it. Then would you have left Clay in?
I think so. He threw, that's 7. So he threw 12 pitches.
Okay.
I would have at least let him start the inning.
Okay. Instead, they went to Tommy Kahnle. Tommy Kahnle ended up, I believe it was single walk. Was it?
Single walk.
Single walk to load the bases. In a 1-run game, Luke Weaver comes up. Mookie Betts is up at the plate. Mookie Betts This happened earlier in the series where I think it was game 1 where the Yankees had a 2-1 lead where Mookie Betts has a runner on third with no outs. You can almost guarantee that Mookie Betts is going to knock in that run. Does not matter how. He will get that run across, which will tie the game. Then Freddie Freeman, the World Series MVP, is on deck. He ends up knocking in another one with a sac fly. Again, they did the small things right there. Then the Yankees did not hit Blake Treinen. They had good at-bats, but good at-bats that did not result in anything, so that didn't fucking matter. Then Walker Buehler came into the 9th inning and shut down 7-8-9. I said in the moment that I was very confident that the Yankees would at least tie the game if Anthony Volpe gets on base. He gets on base, you most likely, if he tries stealing, they're not going to be that aggressive trying to get him out, just because if he steals, you whiff on that ball because you're forcing it a little bit too hard, and he gets to third with no outs for 2 lefties up that have the advantage. Like, that's... No. You're not doing that. So I think he probably could have got to second for free. And then you guarantee top of the order comes back up. But then Austin Wells had a really damn good at-bat and then just swung at a shitty pitch and swung and missed on it.
Yeah.
Then Alex Verdugo swung at 4 balls, strikeout to end the game, to end the World Series.
Who else but Verdugo?
It's
like a kick in the balls, right?
It is, like, because it's where I was in the 400s, but I was directly above the Dodgers. I've seen people run out to the field to celebrate. I've never seen people run out from the World Series to celebrate. They were sprinting faster than you've ever seen people sprint before. That pissed me off. That pissed me off to no end. And just that whole thing made me just so infuriated because Garrett Cole, who I believe his postseason ERA for this postseason was like a 2.1 now after that start, because all 5 of those runs he gave up were unearned, which is ridiculous. It's just so pathetic because it all goes back to that 5-run inning where you had a 5-run start. After the 3rd inning, you were up 5-0, and you squandered opportunities in the 4th. And I think you also squandered more opportunities in like the 3rd. Then the Dodgers, they didn't squander opportunities. They got 5 runs. Then you squandered a couple other opportunities later in the game. And you lose this game by 1 game. All of the games that happened were save situations. The final of the score was a save situation. The largest deficit of win was the 6-3 game, and that was because it was a walk-off grand slam in game 1. All of these games were competitive, and that is what pisses me off the most. That you go from playing the Cleveland series where you had 3 gutsy games that you just won because you were a better team, you were more talented, and you couldn't fix the stupid fucking simple mistakes that killed you in this game, and that's why you lost. And that's what it comes down to. And I don't know about you, but I've never been the biggest, like, oh, fire Boone. Like, every manager's going to make a mistake. But you go back to 2018. This is the issue with his teams. They just get too... Starts with a C. Complacent. Not constipated.
I know.
They get too complacent. And there was a thing that they had in their locker room that said, win today, fly to LA Thursday. Something along those lines. I think they just thought it was in the bag. I think that's what...
They kind of took the foot off the
They
gas.
were just thinking about where they were going to sit on the flight. That's what I think happened. Because how else can you explain the Judge and the Cole play? I don't think you could find another way to explain it. 2 veterans doing stuff like that. That is just unexcused. If one of those things happens, that's headlines. If 2 of those things happened, you saw what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not one to call for jobs, but it's stuff like this where you have to question the coaching. Obviously, yeah, it falls on the players for making those mistakes, but
when you have the only players, there's only like a handful of players that are on the 2018 team.
Right.
Let's think about it. You had Judge, Stanton, Glaber. I think that's it.
Was Canley on the 2018 team?
I think it what.
But yeah, bullpen. Whatever.
That's another thing. It's not a goddamn changeup if you throw it every single time. Like, you could get away with it against Cleveland, but when they see it every single pitch and you're not locating that pitch, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Just shocker.
My other thing with bringing Canley there, I know, obviously, quick side note, just you're facing one lefty, which is Tommy Edman, who is a switch hitter.
Yeah.
So I don't even think it was.
I think he hit righty, too.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he hit righty.
I think he did, right, which then eliminates the changeup, because changeups are better against left. The opposite-handed changeups are better against opposite-handed hitters. So what's the point? You know, I don't think that's a good spot for Canley. A manager's job is to put a player in the best position to succeed. Sometimes they don't. I do not think Aaron Boone put in Canley in a position where he could succeed.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
But going back to just in general, the mental lapses, and Boone has had his chances. Boone has had some great teams, and they keep falling up short. And I always feel like it's mental or it's small things that cost them. So it's to the point where how long can you keep this going? Because it's already confirmed they're going to bring him back.
They confirmed they're exercising the club option.
How many more chances does he get? In my mind, and I think you might agree, this team was World Series or bust.
Yes.
Because you traded for Juan Soto. Because of the moves you made. You failed. And now you look into the offseason, and it's either you run it back with almost the exact same team, or you're going to have to make some big changes. So that was a question that we got on the radio last night, is if this season didn't end without a ring, which it did, do you consider this season a failure?
Yes. It's not even a question. It's not, especially the way that it happened. If it was a hard-fought series and the Dodgers beat you, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe. It depends how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I legitimately believe that the Dodgers only won 2 games this series. I think the Yankees lost. The Yankees lost 2 games.
The Dodgers won
2 games.
Yeah.
That's how I say it. Game 1 and Game 5 were 2 games that you cannot lose. I'm sorry. That Game 1 was... Yeah, how many issues could you have pointed to in that Game 1 that we talked about ad nauseum? And it all started with pulling Garrett Cole out. Game 5, you had probably the worst defensive inning in World Series or baseball history. And I don't even think that's hyperbole. I'm pretty sure that's the first time 5 unearned runs were given up in a elimination game in the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 errors in the same inning.
3 errors? It just... But, well, you try and find that. I definitely think it is, because I hate that this spot rock is being stupid. But just off the top of my head, you have so many free agents. You obviously have Soto, you have Glaber, you have Tim Hill, you have Clay Holmes, Tommy Kahnle, Anthony Rizzo. They're most likely going to opt out of that contract. I'd be shocked if they did. If they didn't, it would be a $6 million buyout. But you're losing 3 of your hitters, 3 of your top 6 hitters, or at least if you look at the lineup, wise for the last game of the postseason. And even then, it's like Judge and Cole are only getting a year older. Realistically, I'll say this, and I'll get more into it later because we are going to be doing a off-season kind of preview. This team, if you get Juan Soto and then you go cheap in other places, I will believe in this team. If you do not go get Juan Soto and you buy other guys, I will not believe in this team. I don't care if you get the rest of the free agent market. If you don't get Juan Soto, I'm not believing in this team. It's just as simple as that. You can't moneyball Juan Soto. You can't replicate Juan Soto in the aggregate. You just can't. Yeah. It's literally as simple as that. Like, I can't even think. Like, just a thing. Would you rather pay the same amount for Juan Soto or Anthony Santander and Christian Walker.
Right.
Probably even a little bit more for both those guys combined.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's a debate.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's the argument of would you rather have one, call it 6-win player, or 2 3-win players? Because they add up the same. You know, you'd rather the superstar.
But then you go back on it and say that you only have like a 1.5-win player that you're combining with that 6-win player, then you have 7.5.
Right.
Because it's one position, being able to have such a good player at that one position.
Right.
And even if it was a thing of 1 6-win player or 2 3.5-win players, I'd still want that 1 6-win player.
Yeah.
Because you can get, if you get a high upside guy in that other spot.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough because you look at the prospect rankings and I don't know. Does Dominguez even start in the majors next year?
If he doesn't, that is a joke. The only way that Jason Dominguez is not starting in the minors is if you sign 2 top level, or in the majors if you sign 2 top level outfielders.
Right.
And I'm talking like it literally has to be like Soto and Santander.
Yeah.
That's obviously not going to happen, but like it would have to be
something like
something insane like that, or like you sign Soto and trade for, I don't even know, but like
call it like Luis Robert, whatever. Just throw a name
someone,
out there.
yeah, just someone insanely good. So I just don't. If he doesn't start on the major league roster, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
He should have been starting for how many of these playoff games?
Yeah, I don't understand how Verdugo started every single game. Like, what are you doing? This guy it's not just he struggled in the postseason. He's been statistically one of the worst players in the entire league for
since
months.
May 4th. Since May 4th. Ever since he barked like a dog after hitting the home run.
Months.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It is.
And I have a sick feeling they bring him back.
Ugh.
I do. I have a sick feeling they're going to because the guys like him.
You gotta bring it back as a 4th outfielder, but you
even
already
then
have
you have Trent Grisham.
Right, that's the issue.
And I think Trent Grisham is a perfect 4th outfielder.
Yeah,
he's
he
a
is.
perfect 4th outfielder.
Yes.
I have no issue with that. But if you bring back Alex Verdugo, it's But like I'm not calling for it, and I'll get more into it later. But if they don't re-sign Glaber, I don't hate Caleb Durbin at second base.
Okay.
I'll get more into that later, but I just like the kind of power speed combo he gives.
Yeah.
Is he a switch hitter or a righty?
Let's see.
I forget.
I also don't know off the top of my head. He is a righty.
He's a righty, okay. No, there's another guy that I've been so high on for how long, Jonathan India. I wouldn't hate at second base. But enough with that. We shouldn't be talking about this yet. So, because I also don't fully understand it, and just so the viewers can get it, what's going on with trades right now?
Yeah, so the Braves made a trade with the Angels. To my understanding,
there was another team that made, like the Orioles or something.
The Orioles made like a cash considerations trade.
Yeah.
But to my understanding, I thought free agency, call it closed free agency, where you could talk to your own guys and do whatever with that. I didn't think you can make trades yet.
Didn't the Mets also make a major league move?
They signed a pitcher to a major league deal. So I don't exactly understand what's going on. So I'm going to quickly try to look at that.
Yeah, well, you try to look at that and just I'll bullshit for a little bit and talk about how I love when people try and say that this doesn't happen in sports, where you see so many guys that the second a trade could be made, a trade happens. Like, yeah, they're colluding. They're doing all that stuff. Like, no one. And honestly, I don't really give a shit. I don't know about you.
What I mean, look, it's fucking Jorge Soler for Griffin Canning.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then it was a cash considerations trade. Whatever.
Even then, like I'm more so like, look at like Carlos Rodon when the CBA got inked. How he signed a deal within under an hour.
Yeah.
Are you good?
No, I'm reading. However, they cannot sign for a new team until 5 p.m. on November 4th, 2024, 5 days after the conclusion of the World Series. That's what I thought it was.
Is the roster move official with the Mets, or is it agreed in principle?
The official like Mets Twitter account like
tweeted it,
which I think makes it official.
That makes it official. They don't tweet unless the actual roster move is official.
The Angels tweeted it. The Orioles tweeted it. It's on Fangraphs.
I was just about to go to MLB.com to look at the Mets transactions.
Yeah, I am very confused.
Dylan Covey, right?
Yeah.
Dylan Covey is on the transaction page on MLB.com.
Yeah, I'm not. Trades involving players signed to Major League are prohibited. Right, prohibited means allowed, right? I'm not stupid.
Prohibited?
Yeah, no, prohibited, you can't.
You cannot. It's disallowed.
The trade market opens up again the day after the World Series.
But the Mets, Dylan Covey, I don't understand this.
I don't either. Maybe,
was it?
Well, he was in the minors, and then they signed him to a major league deal, so maybe because he was a minor league free agent. But
that's a major league move.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'd be a different thing if it was like a minor league deal with the option to get called up or something like that. But if it's a just flat out major league contract, then
I don't know. You can make trades, so that explains the Angels Braves. I don't understand the Mets signing. I'm going on a limb and saying it's because he was in the minors and he was a minor league free agent that they signed to a major league contract, so he technically didn't have a major league team to depart from. But I don't know. Regardless, it officially opens up November 4th.
Yeah.
Which is Monday.
Yeah. But something I was going to say about Boone was, and like how much kind of longer of a leash he has, I truly believe and I'm not calling for his job either, until Brian Cashman is gone, either Boone is still going to be the manager or Boone 2.0 is going to be the manager.
Right.
You are going to have a guy that is a yes man, doesn't really do much, that is the manager until Brian Cashman isn't the GM anymore. And it sucks, but that's just the reality of it.
I think another thing, too, is Aaron Judge likes Aaron Boone. I've said numerous times how I feel about players kind of getting their fingers in the front office. But Aaron Judge 100% has a say in what the moves this team makes, whether I like it or not.
I think part of that's on Cashman's fault, though.
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's not for the reason you think.
Maybe not.
Because you saw how when Derek Jeter was signing contract and extension, for those that didn't know, Derek Jeter told Brian Cashman, I'm going to be a Yankee. We're going to get this done. Just do not make it public. Within an hour, God, I'm going to sneeze. Here it comes.
Within the hour, Brian Cashman made it public.
It just became public. And
Right.
those were the only two guys in the room.
Right.
You look at Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge said the same thing, don't make it public. Opening day, 2022, he came out with the exact... he himself came out and said the exact contract that they offered Aaron Judge. The exact contract. You can't tell me part of when Hal called Aaron Judge and finalized that deal. Because for those, everyone know about like Hal being in Italy, calling Aaron Judge, being like, what do you want to be, Yankee? And Aaron Judge said a 9th year, and Hal said, done. You can't tell me part of it wasn't him being petty at Cashman, saying, I also want a little bit of control.
Right.
Because he's like, you treated me bad? Why should I have a positive relationship with you and listen to you if you disrespected me and I'm the captain of this team?
Right. Yeah. I truly think there are, and it's not like it's a hot take or whatever, there's organizational flaws up and down the Yankees. There just seems to be a disconnect somewhere. I don't know if it's from GM to manager, owner to GM.
Manager to players.
Right. There's something that's just not clicking. I don't know. I really don't know, because it's tough, because I don't know where you go from here. You can't make these drastic changes. You know, when you have contracts like Judge's and Cole's, even call it Rodon's contract is still pretty hefty. Stan's contract. This is your window, whether you like it or not. It's not like you can take a quote unquote Mets year with what they did this past year, you know, sign a few guys to, because the only deals the Mets had them down on was Lindor, Nimmo, and call it Diaz, you know, but you have these mega contracts of Judge and Cole and then Stans, which they didn't sign, but still.
I mean, the answer is the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Frankly, where you
which
just
is
sign
player
guys.
Development.
Oh, I was going to say sign guys and defer the fuck out of the money.
That too, which is just ridiculous.
No, that's a complete issue, but just that. Look at Teoscar Hernandez. They got Teoscar Hernandez for what, like $2 million this year? $5 million?
That bothered me to no end when I saw that contract.
Like you signed
it is a 1-year deal, and you're deferring the money.
Like 80% of the money.
That
shouldn't be
made
allowed.
My blood boil.
It shouldn't be allowed, but it is allowed. So I'm calling for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Say I'm just throwing out a name, Christian Walker, to play first base. Say you sign him, what do you think he gets? 25 a year?
Call it 20. Call it 20.
Okay.
Whatever.
Call it 20 a year. Let's just say 3 years.
Yeah. 360.
360. Yeah. Defer half that. So you're only paying $10 million a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then by the time, if you just defer a lot of these contracts, you can make it to a point where the timelines kind of add up, where you're paying all the money, but it kind of, once you stop paying one guy, the next guy starts getting paid.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Teoscar signed a 1-year, $23.5 million deal. 8.5 was deferred. He was really only making 15 a year.
Oh, I thought it was a lot more was deferred
this year, but it's deferred for
like 10 years.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 8 years, whatever. I'm not counting all that, but I hate that. But that's a discussion for another time.
And the thing with deferrals too is, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, when it gets to, let's just use Ohtani's for example. When it gets to once his contract's done, and it's the 11th year, so the year after it, it's a 0 hit on the luxury tax, right?
I believe so.
They just have to pay the money.
It's just straight up cash.
In $68 million in whatever year that is, 2034?
Yeah, it's
35?
not going to be nearly as much.
It's worth $46 million today's money.
Right.
So that's... And then you go to the other years, like the end of that contract, it's going to be worth like $30 million in today's money when you do account for inflation. So I that's just the answer.
It's
deferrals.
Yeah.
Deferrals. Because you can't tell me, and I've already said this, but you cannot sell me on a team next year without Juan Soto. I think that something that I'm pretty confident in is Brian Cashman's going to have almost no kind of hold over how the Soto negotiations go. It's all going to come down to how much money Hal Steinbrenner wants to spend, because Brian Cashman can't spend the money. He's given a budget, does whatever he can with that budget. But it's all going to come down if Hal wants to spend the money. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest competition for Soto is the Mets.
It's absolutely.
I don't see how, as Hal Steinbrenner, you can lose the World Series in that way. After Juan Soto was your best hitter in the playoffs, he had an incredible regular season, going to finish top 3 in the MVP. How you could lose like that, not have a competent backup plan, because there is no competent backup plan for the Yankees, and let him go to the Mets. I just don't see that happening. I could be biased, I could be whatever, but I just don't realistically see how Steinbrenner would let that happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun story. Not fun for either of us. We're going to be, on the edge of our seats this entire offseason. But, yeah, and I can make the same argument for Steve Cohen,
What do you think happens?
I truly don't know.
Truly don't know.
I truly don't know. I'm going to say I give the edge to the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say you give the edge to the Yankees. You know what I mean?
I think I give a little more than the edge. I just don't see at the end of the day how Hal can let that happen.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's just the other thing, too, is and, it's hard to read into 1 year worth of transactions with how David Stearns operated last year. The max was a 2-year deal to Sean Manaea, which was an option. The most he was going to go was with Yamamoto. You have the Yamamoto of hitters on the market right now.
And that may even be disrespectful.
That's
Soto.
disrespectful
to
Soto. So
the Garrett Cole of hitters.
Right. You're never, I don't think, ever going to see a 26-year-old free agent who's at the top of his game, who hasn't hit his prime, who is one of the best hitters in baseball.
I'd put him as a
plate discipline.
I would put him as a top 3 hitter with Judge and Ohtani.
And that's fair. That's fair. I'm not really going to argue that. So this seems like a guy that David Stearns wants to get his hands all over. And we'll talk about it later. But the thing with David Stearns, he's never handed out a 6-year contract. This is going to reach 14 years, 15. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think Soto just profiles as a guy that they're going to go all in on, which obviously the Yankees are too. So, again, I really don't know. It's going to come down to the money.
And there was just 2 things I wanted to say before we wrap it up. First off, I'm not reading into anything Juan Soto says.
It's fluff.
I didn't even view the quotes.
Yeah.
Just because he wants the money. He's not going to give one team or another the edge. Did you see any of the quotes?
Yeah, I did. And
did you think anything of them?
It's regular PR, Boris, just like, we're going to look at everything.
I'm surprised he didn't mention a mystery team.
Right. It's fluff. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it swayed me one way or another.
And then the very last thing I wanted to talk about was, and kind of as a preview for our kind of off-season plans, all that, Garrett Cole's going to opt out. That's just going to happen. But we've talked about this. Garrett Cole has a clause in his contract that if he opts out, the Yankees can opt back in.
Essentially.
I guess that's what you would call it.
It's kind of like he's going to leave the door and you grab him by the wrist and pull him back. Be like, hey,
here's some extra money.
We'll give you another year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it adds another year, so it makes it a 10-year deal. And I just had to get that out of the way because that's what's going to happen.
When it happens, everyone's like, oh.
And I've seen people make an argument that they shouldn't activate the option, which is
absurd.
Leave. Just get out.
Yeah.
Like that may be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, especially, no offense to Corbin Burns or Max Fried. Cole becomes top dog in this market easily.
He's the second biggest free agent, and I feel like because Ohtani. If you take Ohtani out of last free agent class, I think that Cole goes for more than Yamamoto.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I truly believe that, and if it wasn't for fucking Shohei Ohtani being a free agent,
yeah, but
you could make an argument he goes for more than Judge if you put him in 2022.
Right.
No. I'm gonna stand on that fact. If Ohtani's not on the market last year, coming off of a Cy Young, Garrett Cole's getting $400 million.
$400 million.
He's getting a lot.
Yeah.
400 may be a stretch, but he's getting more than Yamamoto.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But I also find it funny that Yamamoto signed $1 more million just to have more than Garrett Cole, but Garrett Cole's just going to activate the option, so it's going to be more anyways. But, yeah, that's all I had, unless you had more that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It sucks.
I just want to mention what I said in our post-game. I said that I wanted to play in traffic. That is still true.
Yeah.
But now I want to do it at midnight with in all black, no reflective gear on the Garden State Parkway.
But with that being said, that takes the 2024 season to a close. Do you have any closing thoughts just on the year? Forget about the Yankees, but like from an hour perspective. Because we're not leaving, don't worry. We still got off season to go through.
I'm not leaving.
Not fucking leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving. But it was a great year for the podcast. A lot of content. But this just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And people are going to be out there. They're going to say, oh, just this was something I saw going around that I just wanted to mention was people arguing that, oh, our team lost better than you. Shut up.
Wait, you're talking about like
Mets Padres fans are saying like our team lost better than you.
Well, we took 2 games before getting eliminated. So
how many games did you get blown out in?
Correct.
How many of those games were competitive?
Correct.
Exactly. So like
yeah, no, I get it.
You lost. Congrats, buddy. Like we're all on the couch now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's it. None of us did we win a ring?
No.
None of us won a ring. At the very least, you could say the Yankees won a pennant. At
least we all got beaten by the same team.
No,
and that brings us closer
fuck
together.
That. No. But I saw that going around.
All hate the Dodgers together.
That I agree with. I saw that going around, and I just don't.
Yeah, whatever.
I hate that, but
we like each other, so for some reason, so like,
Great year for the podcast. Though.
Absolutely.
Incredible year for the podcast.
Yeah, but like I mentioned, be on the lookout. We're gonna have off-season content, free agent predictions, year reviews,
whatever you want to call it.
Crap. There's gonna be a dead spot at one point, but we'll make plans. We'll keep you guys entertained. So I just wanna give a thank you to everyone who has listened, who has watched, who has followed us, liked our videos, liked our posts, whatever. It was a great year for us. Both had a lot of fun, as much as these endings hurt some more than others. But yeah, don't go anywhere because we're not. I'm going to do my research and tell you why the Mets should sign redacted. So, yeah.
Well, no, it's a thing of why they should, but will they?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Here's to a great 2024.
Too soon.
Here's to Fimbulwinter and the free agent class of 2024. And
very, very top-heavy boys.
Very top-heavy, but we'll talk all about that next time. So, for one final time in the 2024 season, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, remember to follow us on all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Spotify so you never miss an episode. If you just can't get enough of Justin and I, we have our own radio show on Wednesdays on 88.7 WNHU. Links are in the description at Triboro Sports Show. Talk all things New York sports. If you want to get your football fix, your hockey fix, not so much your basketball fix, listen in.
There will be an attempt to be made.
There will be an
basketball.
attempt. There will certainly be an attempt. But yeah, stay here for baseball. Look there for anything else. Unfortunately, New York football season's already over. But
it's been over before the playoffs started.
Yeah, but that's besides the point. So thank you guys again so much for all the support this year. We truly, truly appreciate it. But we will see you in the next episode. Thank you guys.